Hey team, I have been away on a wee cheeky summer holiday for 10 days and during that time it did not rain in the garden and we were hitting temperatures of about 42 to 43 degrees Celsius for the whole 10 days until yesterday when I came home and it dropped, all the rain fell, and I was expecting to come down to the garden today and find just a big crispy mess of flowers and a load of grass. And here I am. There are still flowers, but it is a weedy mess. For anyone that doesn't know, my name is Peggy and I am growing a cut flower garden here on my allotment in Kanagawa Prefecture, Japan, which is just south of Tokyo in USDA Zone 9B. Thanks for checking out my channel. So my zinnia are popping. My pink pokers are really tall and very pink. My Rebecca is still being an absolute trooper. Ami is looking good. I was almost 100% sure that my cosmos was just going to be a crispy mess, and although some of it is looking a little bit brown, it is actually still flowering. Did not expect that. I have some straw flower, which could maybe have been cut a little earlier, but it's there. And it seems only one dahlia randomly has cacked it. This one is brown and not looking great, but I think actually it's coming from the same place as this. So no flowers on my dahlia still. There's a little one coming. But they're green, they're still alive, and I have some buds. It is, however, grass. I am so good at growing grass. If only there was a market for that, huh? Look at this. What is that? Ugh. And it's not just the grass. A lot of the seedlings that I planted just before I went away haven't done well either. My amaranth, which is here, it's looking good and might actually need pinched pretty soon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they've all survived. So amaranth looks good. And if you look closely in these weeds, you can see that some of the African marigold have survived as well, but they are getting pressed on by these cosmos, which have blown over a little bit, so I'm gonna have to push all that back. But honestly, I'm gonna count this as a win because I fully thought that everything would just be dead and crispy, so this I can deal with. But thinking that it was all gonna be dead and crispy, I did go out and buy some emergency plants. These. Not very many, but just some. And these are also some plants that haven't done as well as I wanted in the garden. And so I kind of wanted to put them in anyway. But before I get to that, I have to go and weed this because it's a mess. It's a good look. But it rained yesterday, so the mosquitoes are going mad. Let's go. Okay, I've just weeded out this patch here, and this is where I had my gladiola and my tulip growing, and it did have a lot of weeds in it. But while I'm weeding, I've noticed that a lot of my tulip bulbs are sitting on top of the soil, and I don't know, the rain does come down really heavily when it comes, and I don't know if the soil's just been washed away or if the grass roots are actually bringing the bulbs up to the top. Don't know. Either way, I don't want them sitting on the soil. I don't want them to get eaten. I don't want them to be rotten. I don't want them to bake in the sun. So I am just going to go through and make sure that all of these bulbs are properly in the ground so that I don't lose them. Just bulbs. Over here, little clusters here. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. I can see most of the flowers. I just haven't got to this end section here where my snapdragon are struggling to survive. They've really not put out very much for me this season. I'm kind of hoping that if I just cut them all back a bit, that they might come up in autumn once it gets a bit cooler. Also, my dahlia haven't done much. They've stalled, but again, I'll look more at them at the weekend and figure out what's going on there. Okay, so now that that is all weeded out, what am I going to be putting in? Well, I'm going to start with these two. I planted some marigolds. It's the first time I have grown marigolds because I really wanted to see the really big African marigolds. Now, I grew French marigolds and African marigolds, but it was with seed that I'd had sitting about for about 2 years and just never got round to planting, and they didn't germinate. So I had to go out and buy new seed, and I couldn't find the French marigold. So instead of the French marigold, I'm going to put in this, because this is kind of what the French marigold looked like anyway. It was a kind of more open, airy type one with the yellow flowers. The only difference was it didn't have the black that this Rudbeckia triforbia has. Is that what you are? It didn't have the black centre, it was all white, but I quite like the black centre. Also, this is a perennial, so although I had to buy this one this time, and I've bought one that's quite big just because of how late into the season we are, but it will come back for me next year. So I am going to go and plant this with the rest of my Rudbeckia, and it just gives me a little bit of wispy funness to have in hopefully some of my fall bouquets. Now, when you buy these, they usually only have one stem. I've actually got a second stem coming out, but it's just because they're in such a little pot. These are a cut and come again flowers, so once you get it in the garden, if I cut off this main centre stem, which I'm going to do today, it should then put out more side shoots for me and give me a lot more flowers well into the season. The second one is this, which is the African marigold. Now, this is quite small, I think. I thought they were going to look bigger than this, but again, I don't know if that's just because it's in the little tiny pot from the garden centre. The African marigold that I ended up planting were a very bright orange and a very bright yellow, and the original one I wanted was this kind of softer yellowy cream colour, and that's why I've gone for this one. So I'm kind of hoping the same, that if I cut this back it will bush out for me and continue to bloom for the rest of the season. So I'm going to plant this one where my other little African marigolds are just starting to come up, and this one with my Rudbeckia. So these are the African marigolds that I started at home and planted in. I did put in more. I think I put in another 3 and they haven't survived, but these 4 are doing okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just pop this one right there. The soil is really wet, really deep down, because we had so much rain yesterday, and it's very overcast today, so I think we might get a little bit more rain as well. So I'm just going to pop him in. He's really root bound though, which isn't great. The Rudbeckia is doing so well, absolutely love it, but handily there's kind of a blank spot here because this cherry one seems to be much smaller than the others. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. I might put it in there actually, because I'm hoping it's going to spread out quite a lot, but I'm also aware that my amaranth is going to grow and get really big. What do you reckon? There or there? Nah, I'm going to put it there. Okay, so now I'm in the thick of it, and this is where my Rudbeckia, and I've got my zinnia here, but actually before these guys were in, I had direct seeded some echinacea and some scabious, and I also brought some of them from my old allotment hoping that they would do well, and they've not really. I had this one echinacea that came up and I've not had much off of it, and a couple of the scabious came. I got a light purple scabious, and then just in the last week I noticed this black scabious come up, which I absolutely love. And I can see this is quite a little lump, so I think there's a few different plants in here. But I did want more of the echinacea because I love it. It's a weird flower. I like the weird ones. It's a perennial. It has a really good vase life and it doesn't make the water dirty. So it's one that I really like to have. So I've bought a few more. I've got this kind of nice downward facing peachy one. I've bought this chilly one, which didn't enjoy last night on my porch. It's kind of a chilly coloured one. And I got the green twister, which is the original one I brought from my garden, which doesn't seem to have transplanted well. And I'm going to put these in directly behind where these ones are. And like I say, these are perennial, so hopefully if I get them in the ground now, they're going to come back for me again next year. But this is one, both scabious and echinacea, that I am going to go back to starting at home and then transferring into the garden just to make sure that I have germination on them, because I really like them in the garden. So next I have this, which is a chocolate cosmos. I was so sure that my cosmos was going to be dead. It's usually the first thing that crunches up on me as soon as the weather gets a little bit hot. This stuff is usually just gone. And I'm really surprised that it's still here and that it's still flowering. It's looking really, really good. But these are the kind of white cosmos. I've got a pink rim one. I've got the cupcake one, which I love. And this chocolate cosmos is a lot smaller. You can see even the foliage is a lot different. I'm pretty sure this one's a perennial as well. The flowers are smaller. They do actually have a chocolatey scent, which is really nice. But for me, I just want the colour of it to go with the darker colours that I've got coming in my Rudbeckia, my straw flower, my chrysanthemum and my dahlia for in the autumn. So I'm going to put this one in right in front of where I thought the dead ones would be. And the last thing I'm putting in today is this. I think this is called a burnet. Now I've seen it as twinkly bits in other people's bouquets. It does get a lot bigger in these bits and a lot brighter red. And I just think it's really beautiful. It's kind of weird. It stays in the vase for a long time. It dries really nicely. And I've been wanting it in the garden for quite a while, but I couldn't find the seed for it anywhere. It was really hard to find the seed. And randomly, yesterday, I actually found some of the seed online. So I'm going to try and put more of it in the garden next year, starting from seed. But I found this one in the garden centre, and I thought, again, it's a perennial, so I'm not losing money on it. I will put it in this size this year, and I know that it should survive into next year and give me an even bigger bush then. Look at that, so twinkly. My face is so red. Whew. Look at that. That is me done for today. I am so genuinely shocked that I am leaving here with flowers, never mind a whole bucket load. And I haven't even cut the Rudbeckia. I just took a pink load to make up a pink bouquet. But my Rudbeckia, my red zinnia, my straw flower are all still there, waiting to be cut. So I'm going to come back in the next few days, cut them, probably pinch out my amaranth and figure out what is going on with my dahlia, as well as finish all of the other weeding that needs to be done. But hopefully those few extra plants are just going to top me up and make sure that I have bucket loads like this for the rest of autumn. I'm really hot. I'm going to go home and have a big glass of water. If you want to follow along and see how the garden does for the rest of the season, then please hit the subscribe button below. If you want to see what I do with all of my flowers, including these ones, you can check out my Instagram, which is From the Witch's Garden, and there is a link to below for that. And I am going to go and arrange these into something really pretty. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.